Chris, I don't think that a lot of places in America or the world right now have exactly as wonderful weather as we have right now.
I thought you were going to say breakfast.
The breakfast was pretty good today. I saw some upgrades over the donut.
We had some croquetas today, Dan.
you guys-
Finally.
Croquetas in a sandwich with a little papita? Oh, my God.
He's starting to learn about
I just wanna
papitas,
think
Dan.
about it. I just want to.
He's starting to learn about papitas.
Oh, Tony.
He's always known about papitas. But so the weather here is beautiful, but I don't know if you guys felt this in the room. An Arctic chill blew through the room after I heard the sentence uttered, "The year I became a golden cane." Did you guys all notice that? Like when Mike said that, I saw everyone in the room drift away. Mike is immersed in this Lane Kiffin. He's delighting in watching Lane Kiffin and the rare scenario where a school like LSU buys out Ed Orgeron and then winks at him and says, "Want to come back as an assistant with Lane Kiffin?" I haven't seen a coach bought out in scandal, and a few years later, things go so poorly with Brian Kelly. It's like open arms. Edo, come back.
Coach.
So if you're following the news, there is growing momentum that LSU is trying to hijack this Lane Kiffin to Florida thing. Florida had felt good for weeks on end. It's real. Happen to know. LSU is trying to hijack.
He happens to know? Great Scott, he happens to know. He happens to know. Gather everyone. Get the children. He happens to know. So wise.
And one of the parts of the story that I think CBS reported on is if LSU does indeed hire Lane Kiffin, could Ed Orgeron join Lane Kiffin's staff? And there appears to be real juice to that report.
We will get into that and all things college football in a
Dan,
second.
when you felt the Arctic blast of Mike saying that he was a golden cane, it was in context of something that I had mentioned to him that he was talking about. And I was at the game a few weeks ago with the Syracuse game, and I was sitting up in the club, and I was walking through the back, alleys of the club, and all of a sudden I see Coach O passing by, and I'm like, "Hey, Coach, good to see you." And he told me something very important. There's only a couple of times where I've gotten this in my life from a very important person. He said, "Good to see you, big guy." Gave me a big guy. And I was like,
How's that helpful to the story?
"What do you mean? That's the whole story." He gave me a big guy.
It's a couple funny Ed Orgeron stories. I've been to a couple dinners with Ed. I've talked to him at length. He's sat in my seats before.
For me, for the big guy? Okay, my bad. Hands up.
He really Tommy
Hands up. My bad.
No.
He really Tommy topped you on. You think you're the big guy?
you got a big guy?
You would think that I have this really good relationship with Ed Orgeron. Doesn't know who I am. I've spent a lot of time with Ed Orgeron. I was at practice in the fall, during fall camp. Ed Orgeron came up to me. I thought, like, all right, the time is finally here. He's finally recognized me. And he's like, "Man, you raised a good one." And I'm like, "Juliet? She's not out here." And then he came back 5 minutes later, and he's like, "Apologies, I confused you with somebody else. But whoever that was, he raised a good one."
I'm embarrassed. I'm legitimately embarrassed at the number of photographs I've sent Mike Ryan of a shirtless Ed Orgeron jogging past me on South Beach.
Looks good.
What a dream.
It's too hot to be running out there. He's been running out there since I've known him. As a graduate assistant at the University of Miami.
You have him as a normal guy, Dan? Like, just, oh, you know what? With sense. It's too hot.
Did you notice what happened?
Yeah.
He tried to Tommy top everybody.
I know, yeah. Seeing shirtless Ed Orgeron, come on.
Football is back, Jack. Oh my, we've waited for so long. We're so damn excited that we put it in a song. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. Keep your fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air. When the chips are down and you throw a prayer. When your team is primed and on the hunt. It's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, football is stroll. And we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack. Football is back. Football is back, Jack.
Tony, do me a favor, please. In the Happen to Know file, Chris Cody exclaims from medieval times, Great Scott. And I don't know why it's Great Scott, and I want to know why it is Great Scott, if you can find that for me.
He happens to know? Great Scott, he happens to know. He happens to know.
Mike has embedded himself in the Lane Kiffin drama and fun. It is great fun to see someone who does not care throw the entire business into upheaval as schools in the SEC try to say, no, we're more important than that school. We should be the ones who get you. How much money do we have to give you, even though you've been disgraced a couple of different times? Everything's all polished up now. We need offense. But before we get to the topics of the day, and Ariel Helwani will be in with us in studio in a little bit, I had not seen a segment that was just on Get Up before. Maybe they've been doing it for weeks or months, but That Boy Bad is something they do with some highlights, and it's led by Harry Douglas, who appears to have grown into his role at ESPN with the reps, because Harry Douglas was very animated, but at the end of whatever point he was making, because the sound is down, they had everybody in the room do a synchronized, choreographed hip thrust. And it was done much better by Bart Scott and Harry Douglas than it was by Orlovsky, Greeny, and Peter Schrager, who their heart wasn't in it, their pelvis wasn't in it, their groin wasn't in it. They feel a little intimidated, I feel like, by what it is that Harry Douglas and Bart Scott were doing with their bodies, even though those bodies have been hit more than the bodies of Greeny and Schrager and even Dan Orlovsky, who ran out of the end zone one time and got a safety to avoid sudden contact.
Dan, it's all about confidence. That's what I keep telling Jeremy. Like, you can do anything as long as you have the confidence to do it.
That's what's the difference.
You throw
there.
a hip up there, you wow! All of a sudden, it's like, oh,
You say this.
he knows something.
I love that
Confident.
Tony gives two-time Emmy winner Jeremy advice on how to present himself.
Thank you.
But he is right in this respect when he says it's all about confidence. I've told you guys this story before. It was in the Falcons locker room, and they were playing the Dolphins, and Deion Sanders was wearing a mustard-colored suit. And I said, fairly obviously, I couldn't wear that. And he's like, yes, you could. It's all about confidence. And I'm like, I couldn't wear that. I don't have the confidence that you do. Tony projects confidence at all times. Harry Douglas gives off some confidence. Can we play the sound? The only sound from the file that we have here marked Harry Douglas.
I mean, you don't know anything about what you're talking about, and you have the nerve to call up here and say to me that we're trying to upsell the Falcons to you? Sir, you're not a Falcon fan. You haven't been. And if you have been, you don't know what you're looking at.
Stop being a homer, Bo. Get out of my
I'm the last one who's a homer. Don't you ever call me a homer. Who the hell do you think has been saying the truth since 1973 on Atlanta radio? Who?
The shaking of the prescription pills is so good. It'll be eternal. It'll be timeless. I want an explanation from the group on something, because I've restrained. Well, okay, since you asked, I'd like it from Mike, I guess. The MLS playoffs are ridiculous, okay? I don't blame anyone who criticizes the fact that it has been 6 weeks and Inter Miami has played 3 games.
That's right.
It's been the first round of the playoffs took 3 weeks, and then they just took a whole bunch of time off because I know there's scheduling conflicts and stuff. But so you cannot do the playoffs this way where it takes 6 weeks to play 3 games.
I hear you. This is, well, playoffs. In European competition, there's a Champions League, which is a playoff format, but it's not uncommon for long breaks here. What's weird is you have a best of 3 in the first round, and then we're just off to the races in single elimination. However, you're not off to the races because in the middle of that, there's like a 2-week international break. So I understand why it's ridiculous, but don't worry. Deep in the meat of that NFL Sunday window, you get to watch Inter Miami play the biggest game in club history.
And it's a one-off, right? It's an elimination game
Cincinnati.
because we've covered for everybody that the first round is 3 games, but everything after that is the randomness of 1-game samples.
Zagak.
Did you get Great Scott there, Tony? Did you find for me the
Dan,
origins
I do.
of Great Scott?
The interjection Great Scott most likely originated from the Civil War era general named General Winfield Scott. He was an imposing figure, stood 6'5", and at that time, that's basically like Wemby size, right? Like everybody's very small back in the day. So 6'5", and they would name him Great Scott, but also made famous by a good doctor, Dr. Doc Brown.
Just saw his photo. He looks like if Ed Orgeron was 90 and a Civil War general.
All right, put it on the poll. Back in Civil War days, was the 6'5" general basically Wemby?
Huge.
That general was only 33 at the time of that photo. I agree. He looks 90. Hard living.
He's like former Kansas State coach Bill Snyder.
Holy God, that is Great Scott.
Yeah,
You know,
Great
war will do that to you.
A civil
as hell.
war, yeah.
War as hell.
Brothers against brothers, Dan.
I wanted to get to a couple of the things going on locally here before Ariel Helwani joins us, because Miami is playing Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech now has James Franklin as its coach. Virginia Tech has been really bad this year. I don't think that's a good job. I really don't. I think that was a good job. Now, I'm speaking a bit ignorantly because I don't know their NIL situation. At this point, basically, if you've got NIL money, that becomes a good job.
They do have money. They do. They've been preparing for this moment. They understand that they were behind there. This is a really big, aggressive hire for them. I happen to know that if you don't have to
Oh
do
my God, he knows. He happens to know.
You walked into that one.
Come, everyone. Come and listen.
I did.
He's always got it right.
He happens to know.
I
Well informed.
had the FSU job become available, that would have been James Franklin's priority. But FSU doesn't have any money right now, and they're desperately hoping this season doesn't totally fall off the rails. We'll see what happens tonight in Raleigh for Florida State. He wanted that Florida State job. Virginia Tech was on this on the radar. A lot of Canes fans in the group chat and people that are well informed. That's a big question that you have. Like Virginia Tech, Blacksburg is in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, the program has some prestige, but how appealing is this job? But they have a lot of money. They're taking this super seriously, and I think they hired a great coach. James Franklin does know how to recruit, does know how to program build. He's very familiar with that DMV area when it comes to recruiting. He knows the prospects already. He can hit the ground running. I think that is a big-time hire for Virginia Tech, about as good as they can do.
I actually need to pull back a little bit on what I said because my information is dated. I cannot say something is or isn't a good job based on the way that I've always done my measurements there, because I need to know how much money schools have to spend on players to know whether something is a good job or not. But the idea that I've lived long enough to watch Virginia Tech be a better job than FSU is asinine. Like,
I don't know.
If Virginia Tech has money and if Virginia Tech can get James Franklin, but Florida State cannot. Florida State is as podunk a region as Virginia Tech. But when you're in the state of Florida and can recruit Florida, that's one of the measurements I've always used to say, is that a good school? Do players want to go play at that school? I can't see going all around the country and being able to get players to come to Virginia Tech in its present incarnation, but my information is dated because if you've got money, you can get players to play anywhere.
Yeah, Florida State is just, they had money, but they just spent it poorly, buying out a bunch of coaches, and it just hasn't worked out. Now, I've been to Tallahassee, one of the worst places on the planet, but they have a dedicated airport in their state capital. Like Blacksburg is tough. It's a tough sell. What you're selling there is game day experience, which I've been told is awe-inspiring. That stadium's incredible. That game day experience is incredible. That's all they really have in that area. But this is a team in Virginia Tech that has lost a lot of talent to the portal. The new age of college football came, and they're such a. Their identity was Frank Beamer, and they were kind of set in their ways, and they didn't see this coming, and they weren't ready for all the talent that they did have and developed to just believe in them. James Franklin's not going to let that happen. James Franklin will be the guy that poaches guys, and I think it elevates the ACC conference that needs a little bit more juice to it, so I'm happy they got that hire, and it's a good rival for Miami, and we all know James Franklin doesn't win big games, so I'm good with that.
I mentioned yesterday that Miami, the University of Miami, found itself with an unusual ally in Paul Feinbaum when it came to the Notre Dame-Miami discussion. For those of you who are not familiar with our particular brand of obnoxious screech around here, there has been some screaming and yelling about the idea that Miami and Notre Dame could end up with the same record, and Notre Dame would have a higher classification even though they lost to Miami. Let's play the sound here from Paul Feinbaum.
Paul, the idea that Miami beats Notre Dame head-to-head and remains behind them because of the quality of Notre Dame's losses seems to rub a lot of people the wrong way. How does it rub you?
It rubs me beyond the wrong way. And Greeny, I'll continue my rant about Notre Dame. I've been hearing, and you have been hearing because you lived near Notre Dame growing up, that Notre Dame, in college I should say, that Notre Dame, there's a bias. There is a bias. Let's just go ahead and admit it. And this committee, I have no earthly idea why they can't move beyond it because they're supposed to be objective. But it just seems like let's always give Notre Dame the loss. And I feel badly for Miami. They got knocked out last year. They were the last team out along with Alabama. They did some of it to themselves. But they beat Notre Dame. Shouldn't head-to-head matter in college football or in any sporting event? But apparently to this committee, it does not matter at all.
It does take more confidence.
No, see,
one pump, huh? Just one.
You did it very stiff,
Orlovsky
very starch,
vibes.
dude. You got to get there. Y tirarlo, papi.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. How does it rub you, Paul? You saw that it rubbed him poorly. You saw that Paul Feinbaum there, who as an entity, the entirety of him looks like something that would be rubbed.
It rubs me beyond the wrong way.
Chafing.
Beyond the wrong way. So beyond the wrong way would be chafing. You're absolutely right there.
Whoa, wait.
Yes,
Whoa.
there is stuff happening there when you've arrived at pissing off Paul Feinbaum on behalf of Miami. Do you know how wrong things have to be?
How does that rub you?
It's the craziest question.
Come on, Greeny.
That's crazy.
It rubs me beyond the wrong way.
So it's beyond chafing. It's
No, Dan, there's nothing beyond chafing.
No, but that's a good answer because you were asked the question, how does it rub you?
It rubs me beyond the wrong way.
How else are you supposed to answer?
Well, I thought it would be sufficient for it to rub him the wrong way, but it's somewhere realms beyond being rubbed the wrong way. And Tony correctly identified when he said, well, that's a chafing rub. And what's beyond chafing?
Bleeding.
Oh.
You chafe too much. There's nothing else there. It comes out.
Well, but wait a minute. His blood runs crimson. It does not run. Green and orange. That is a strange ally to have in Paul Feinbaum. I suspect that it's an uncommon kind of wrong. It's also a silly discussion to be having before we have to actually have it, which would be when the final decisions are made on that.
You would think, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think there's been noticeable media pushes from Miami, and if you watch a college football playoff show, the discussion was all about Miami. That wasn't the case 2 weeks ago when Miami wasn't right. And if Miami lost to Pittsburgh instead of SMU, they would have just kept Miami out of it, and you wouldn't have had an opportunity to fight. And I think these are impressionable bureaucrats that don't like being bullied, and you have to turn the volume up if you're representing Miami. You have to force this discourse. You have to hold their nose up to it and say, what are we doing here? I do think a little bit of it is unfair to the College Football Playoff Committee because clearly what they're doing is they're taking the AP polls and the coaches poll, and they're just like, what do we want to change about like these 2 or 3 spots, which is this ridiculous tier thing that we all learned about this week.
How does it rub you?
Rubs me more than the wrong way.
Beyond
the wrong way.
But that is actually what you just described. What you just described of how do they do this without computers? Well, they just grab all the information and then change a couple of the rankings. That's exactly how Greg Cody, when he goes through all the magazines before a season, he's not doing any he's not doing any reporting that involves calling a human being and gathering information. He's grabbing
It's how you would do a book
got you there,
report
though.
before ChatGPT. Like you Google something or you look at a book, you change a couple words here. Instead of there, they are.
My friend did the homework. He gives it to me. I change a couple of words.
Well,
All right, not the same.
Same general idea, just different wording. I think the coaches poll in particular is maddening to me because if any coach, what the coaches are doing is they're just looking at the AP poll and just trying to change a team here or there. There isn't a single coach on this green earth that would lose a game to an opponent and be okay with that opponent being ranked ahead of them had they had the same record. And given that the CFP very clearly takes its cues from the coaches and AP poll, the AP and the coaches poll need to be held accountable. Either you got a wet sock out there looking like a deer in the headlights. He's an idiot. We know that. AP and coaches, they need to know better.
How does it rub you?
Ariel Helwani is going to be around the corner. Mike Ryan mentioned a media blitz. I have seen that Cristobal has been out there, and this part is eternally dumb to me. I remember feeling silly when Nick Saban would do it every year after he had lost, where he just starts making the media tour and it becomes no longer about football. It's just how can you influence people by shouting. I want to get into the media blitz part of this, but before I do, I want to have, at some point on our show, a tournament of the best sounds in show history. And I think, I'm not kidding you, I know it's a recent nominee, but I believe everything about this sound would make it a 1 seed.
I need your support.
The fact that he's a little drunk.
I need your support.
The fact that he is whispering to his wife.
I need your support.
The fact that it's about a fantasy league controversy.
I need your support.
The fact that he's taking it that seriously.
I need your support.
The fact that it is somewhere between longing and pleading.
I need your
but
support.
You can hear the desperation in it.
I need your support.
I think it's a 1 seed, and it's combined with all of those things can be true. But the other part of it that makes it clear, it's a secret phone call from clearly a very closed quarters in a submarine bathroom.
I need your support.
Like, the sound is so bad.
I need your
That's
support.
not a phone call in 2025. That is desperation shouted from the bottom of the sea in a bathroom in a submarine.
I need your support.
That sounds no good.
I need your support.
And he's 9 beers in.
I need your support.
Ariel Helwani has arrived. Come on in here, Ariel. He's the best going in MMA and has been for a long time.
All right. Very good.
He is flexing, even though he is a Bills fan, and he should be ashamed today. And we're going to talk to him about the Bills and other things.
Finally, we get some ratings up in this. Finally, Helwani has arrived. Finally, we can pop a rating. Am I on?
It's been too long since we've seen you. Generally, the ratings don't spike when you start it with,
Am I still number one? Am I still number one? Am I still number one?
No,
on
you're
YouTube
not
channel?
number one.
Oh, there was some like weirdo.
Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah. He probably bought those. He probably bought those views. How are you, Dan? It's so good to see you.
It is nice to see you.
Finally got the invite. Finally got called up to the big time.
You've been invited so many times. You were near the Clevelander, wandering around on the outside of the Clevelander, and you wouldn't come in for mysterious reasons.
Yeah, that was weird.
You're always welcome here. You're always
it's
invited.
Skipper didn't put enough zeros. Where's he at, Skipper? Is he back there?
He's
Where
not
you at,
here
Skipper?
anymore because he
Where you
didn't
at?
put enough
I do
zeros.
believe I'm not here
right.
He did what we call in the business fumbling of the bag.
Let's just move it along.
Right? Where is he?
Is that Ed O?
Coach O? Pardon the intrusion.
Where's Pablo at?
How does it rub you?
Pablo's winning awards in New York.
He is. What a beautiful setup you have here. Wow, this is amazing, Dan. It's so great to see you.
Likewise, buddy.
I'm really happy to be here. I love this city. I don't like your sports teams. I'm a little depressed on this Friday morning, considering what happened yesterday.
Your Bills allegiance is the greatest of your sports allegiances?
I would say Knicks and Bills. When I was a kid, it was Knicks, Bills, and Expos. Those were my favorite teams. The Expos, may they rest in peace. In 2015, I adopted the Toronto Blue Jays. I've had a horrible 10 months. My kids say horrible. I'm explaining to them that it's been pretty good because my Bills lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game in January. In May, my Knicks choked in epic fashion against the Pacers, game 1 and then game 2, and then they had to swim upstream, and then the Blue Jays losing in 7 games to the Dodgers. So we're at the dance. We're there. We're on the cusp of greatness, but then, of course, we falter when it counts. I've never seen one of my teams win a championship in my lifetime. Not one.
That's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe, yes. And it's hurting me.
You used to be a young man in this business.
I used to be a young man. I'm starting to get some white hair like you. It's so great to see you. Have I ever seen you in person?
Is this the first time? This
Yes.
can't be the first time.
It's almost surreal being here. Look at this.
What about me?
Why do you keep them so far away from you there?
I like to avoid intimacy.
Yeah. This is so great. Tony up there. When I first met Tony, he actually asked me, what does UFC stand for? Now all of a sudden he's like a UFC expert. It's
That's
crazy.
right.
I feel like I birthed his fandom.
You absolutely did.
Yes.
I
He's
was-
like literally asking me like, so who's this Connor
Well,
guy?
for the audience who may not be involved in combat sports, because he's here for part of the press coverage of Anthony Joshua, Jake Paul, which I think is an insanity. I think Jake Paul's choice, like, what's the end game, Spence? Is it your end game?
I saw you guys talking about it.
I just think it's insane that he's fighting this person. I know he fought Tyson at like 220, but he usually fights at under 200, right?
In the range of 200, cruiserweight.
All right, so he's a cruiserweight, and Anthony Joshua is a legitimate heavyweight, and the people he's been fighting are not. None of them are 1/10 of what this man is as a fighter. His opponent in this fight. I don't know what your opinion is on this, but I am genuinely curious because even while I think a heavyweight has a chance in any fight, a puncher's chance, I don't think Jake Paul has anything for Anthony.
Do you
Joshua.
respect him for taking it?
Yeah, you have to because that's terrifying. Like that. Look, I understand that Jake Paul is ranked in cruiserweight, but there are weight classes for a reason, and this is a man that I thought was going to be the guy who knocked off Fury and Deontay Wilder, and a lot of people thought that. A lot of people thought he was going to be undisputed.
Two-time unified heavyweight champion, Olympic gold medalist in 2012. His last fight was for the title against Daniel Dubois and got knocked out. That was his last fight. So it's not like he's washed up. It's not like he's fighting bums and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I get annoyed at the people who are doing like the sanctimonious thing, that this is a stain on AJ's legacy, that this is a stain on the sport of boxing, because you often hear that from people who actually don't watch boxing, don't know anything about AJ, don't know anything about the sport, and it's like, save me the sanctimony, because as you probably know, boxing has been doing fights like this for decades. In 1976, Muhammad Ali, who was the heavyweight champion of the world, went to Japan and fought a guy named Antonio Inoki in a mixed rules pro wrestling match. In 1975, after the Rumble in the Jungle, George Foreman, after losing to Ali, went to Toronto, Maple Leaf Gardens on a Saturday afternoon and fought 5 jobbers. Like, this stuff happens. And so I don't think
Wait,
this is
what?
Yeah. He fought 5 people on the same day. A jobber. Do you know what a jobber is? It's pro wrestling terminology.
I thought it was guys with jobs.
No, that's like guys who are just like sort of jabroni guys. That,
Tomato can
tomato
guys.
cans, jobbers, pro wrestling terminology.
I think it's a stain. I don't think it's a stain on boxing. I think it's a stain on the business of boxing, that Anthony Joshua could get more for this fight than he's ever gotten before, that Ngannou can go into boxing and make more money boxing than he can like in MMA, where he's a legitimate
big platforms
champion.
like Netflix want big time fights. They want spectacles, right? And I feel like this is a spectacle. Did I ever think this was going to happen? Did I think this was going to happen in the year 2025? Did I think that AJ's next fight coming off the Dubois knockout at Wembley would be against Jake Paul? No. Did I think Jake Paul would pick AJ? No. The whole thing is a sort of like mind-blowing spectacle, and I can't wait. I don't know how I got this, but I have the honor of hosting the press conference.
Well, you
today.
got it because you're the best journalist anywhere to be found in combat sports. Everyone knows this. For those who do not know what your resume is, for many, many years, he has been applying a rigid journalistic, strict standard to a sport and sports that do not want it. And so you have had your tensions with Dana White and others because you insist on covering the sport in an honorable way, and that way you're a bit of a rose growing in a sewer, just insisting that there be journalistic standards. But let me play some sound for you here, since we just mentioned Ngannou and Dana White.
Nice studio.
This is on the Flagrant podcast. Listen to Dana White here talking about Ngannou, and you tell me what your thoughts are here.
Francis Ngannou is a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He plays the whole, I don't understand the language, and he tries to come off like he's a nice guy, you know what I mean? And people go, it's the language barrier probably. No, there's no language barrier with this guy. So he's going in to fight Stipe Miocic in Boston, and he knows he's going to kill Stipe. So after the press conference, we're walking down this hallway, and he comes over to me, and he grabs me. His English is great. When this fight's over, you're going to book me a private plane to Paris. And I said, I laughed and said, oh, yeah. He goes, I'm not joking. Okay. Stipe Miocic beats the shit out of him. That ended that whole conversation. I should have cut him that day. So then, when you're an athlete that's signed by the UFC, you get full access to the Performance Institute. And he comes up to my office, and he was pissed off that he didn't get a $50,000 bonus in his last fight, that he didn't get the bonus of the night. And I said, Francis, you didn't get it because this, that. And he's in my office, and he's arguing with me. The conversation's over. I'm starting to leave, and he grabs me by my shirt and like pushes me back in my office. And I said, dude, get your hands off me. I could see in this guy's face and in his eyes and in the way he's acting who this guy really is, Now he's over, and he's done a deal with PFL in Saudi Arabia. I'm sure they wish they never signed him.
Ngannou has never slapped his wife in public that I know of. Dana White calling anybody a bad guy is rich, but Dana White, because he's rich, always has these problems with Randy Couture and others. Every objection that he had to Ngannou there was Ngannou wanting more money. That's how you get objections from Dana White. What are your thoughts on what you just heard there?
So, yeah, Dana has had this long-standing feud with Francis Ngannou. It's important to know. So I reached out to Francis. I haven't heard back yet regarding this. I wanted to know how real it was. I do know the timeline. The interaction that he is talking about is following his win over Alistair Overeem in, I believe off the top of my head, it was 2016 going into 2017, or either 2017 going into 2018. And that was the fight that got him a title shot against Stipe Miocic when they fought. Off the top of my head, it was UFC 220. Point is, throughout that buildup, Dana was so steadfast, and he was so energetic and so passionate about his promotion of Francis Ngannou that Stipe was actually so disrespected that when he beat Francis in their title fight, their first title fight, he took the belt from Dana as he was about to wrap it around his waist and gave it to his coach, and he felt like that was the proper thing to do because this guy had disrespected him in the buildup. And so my mind goes to the place where it's like, if something happened between you guys, why did you promote him so well? And then why did you promote him multiple times? Why did you give him a title shot during the pandemic and he beat Stipe? And why did you try so hard to sign him when he was at the end of his contract? And why did you sit him for a year when he beat Ciryl Gane and kept him to that exclusivity period? If you hated him so much, why did you want to be in business with this guy for 4 or 5 years later? If he was such a bad guy, why did you want to keep him around? Because he makes it seem in that interview with Andrew Schultz, he makes it seem like, I wanted to cut him after the Stipe fight, but my matchmakers told me to keep him. My question is, if he was such a crappy guy, if he was such a horrible human being, if he did the things that you are accusing him of doing, and I wasn't there, so who the hell knows, why did you want to be in business with him for 4 or 5 more years? And why were you so upset when he turned down the fight offer from the UFC as UFC champion and walked away and you took the belt away from him? Why does it bother you? It bothers him because he didn't stick around. It bothers him because he rebuffed their offer and he went on to fight Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua and once in the PFL. And so since then, he has been on this, this campaign, this media tour to slander Francis. And I don't know why he's bringing it up all these years later, but you have to ask him.
You're in town for 24 hours for Paul Joshua, and I don't know in your service of this role if you're allowed to say just flatly what you really think of this fight, or whether you have to sell the possibility that Jake Paul can win this fight.
I don't have to sell anything. I don't work for Jake Paul. I don't work for MVP, the promotion. I'm hired by Netflix. And even, I'll be honest with you, Dan, I'll shoot with you here. Even the role that I'm in today, I feel a little uncomfortable because I think that, I can promote, I can have fun with it, but I'm not a promoter. I am not involved in the transaction here. And historically, the guy standing at the dais is the promoter, is the Bob Arum, the Dana White, the Vince McMahon, the whatever. And they kind of used me in this spot. They asked me to do it. And out of respect, I say yes. And it's a big opportunity. It's Netflix and all this stuff. So I have to sometimes answer questions from people where they're like, well, you're on the take or you're on the payroll. I don't get paid anything. In fact, I've turned down multiple things from promoters because I don't want that conflict of interest. So I feel like it's important to say that. That being said, I think this is a I think if Jake Paul beats Anthony Joshua, I think it's one of the biggest upsets in the history of boxing. The odds wouldn't suggest that, but are you telling me that Jake Paul was more accomplished than Buster Douglas? He wasn't. And I'm not going to get into like what's the bigger upset, but like this is a Herculean task on his hands. Anthony Joshua is still a very, very good fighter. His last fight was for the belt. And there is nothing in Jake Paul's resume that would suggest that he can knock him out or beat him, but he's going to go for it. And I have a lot of respect for him, for picking this opponent because he could have picked anyone.
This is Jake Paul trying to earn our respect, no?
I just think the reason that I think it's crazy is because of the leap between what he's been fighting and this. Like, he has to earn your respect with this, even if he gets knocked out in the first round, because you shouldn't step in with this person.
But here's the risk. There's so many risks here. The risk is if he gets knocked out in the first round, the whole thing comes crumbling down. Like the whole Jake Paul experience. There's going to be no demand to see him continue
But
to
if he
fight.
gets into the fourth round and you're like, this is closer than I thought.
But
because he's lost before, and I don't think
he lost a close decision to Tommy Fury in Saudi Arabia on a Sunday night. No one even remembers it. And since then, he's got some great wins. He hasn't been like knocked the F out. And so I think that that's what everyone is dying to see. And I think that the whole thing comes crumbling down. Here's the problem. If the fight goes past the second round, Francis lost to Jake in the second. Francis lost to Anthony Joshua in the second round and got absolutely obliterated. Right? I mean, it was shocking. Francis had never been rocked, knocked down, or knocked out.
But that was shocking to you because it wasn't shocking.
It was shocking to me.
The only reason it's not shocking to me is because look, Ngannou's great for a striker. He's got a good chin, and he doesn't
He had just gone the distance with Tyson Fury and knocked him down. And so I didn't think that AJ would do that to him, but he took that task very, very seriously. And so the issues that they're facing is, if Jake somehow survives and goes the distance, everyone's going to be like, the fix was in. And if AJ somehow makes it to the seventh and can't knock him out until the seventh or eighth, everyone's going to be like, AJ held him up. And so and if Jake somehow pulls off the great upset, everyone's going to the fix is it. I feel like he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't here. The only result that I feel like the public is going to be okay with is an Anthony Joshua demolition of Jake Paul in a round or two. And that's a tough spot to be in. And so I hope it's competitive. I hope it's close. I hope it's fun. I hope it's a war. But I honestly, in my heart of hearts, have no idea what to expect here because it's just so off the wall crazy.
Hey, but that's what the money's for, right? The money, the $70 million is, thank you, Mike, is for, hey, yeah, you're going to be kind of lose-lose situation if you take him to the eighth round or if you're knocking him out in the fourth, like whatever it is, that's what the money's for. But also, this is kind of the end game for Jake Paul. There's nobody higher that he can go to and be like, who else am I going to fight? He already called out Ngannou before the AJ thing. Now it's AJ. Who's better right now to fight Jake Paul? Like, what's the next level?
I mean, he had a deal with Canelo Alvarez. They were this close. Is Canelo better than AJ in the pound-for-pound rankings?
Sure.
Some would suggest. Certainly, before the Terrence Crawford fight, and this fight was supposed to happen in May, there's always someone. And Jake doesn't really play with the same deck of cards as everyone else. Remember, he was supposed to fight Tank Davis this past Friday. That was the original fight. I'm infinitely more interested in this fight than the Tank fight.
Oh, but the Tank. So the part that I find interesting about the what he chose to do with what I believe will be the punctuation of this part of the story. I thought he was going to lose to Tank, and Tank is 134 pounds. What's Joshua going to fight at? They haven't done the weigh-in yet. He's going to fight at 250?
They said he can't weigh above 245.
Okay.
The last time he weighed in that region was 2022, his rematch against Alexander Usyk. The last time he weighed in against Dubois was 252. So it's not a huge drop, but there is some sort of limitation. He can't go in there, at 265.
But I thought Tank was the best fighter. Not
skill-wise.
Is the best fighter he was going to fight skill-wise, and now he's doing that 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah. It's a wild thing because the Tank thing, no one else would, no fighter who's fighting at cruiserweight or heavyweight would pick a lightweight. That's what Tank Davis is, a 135-pounder. And so the question going into that fight was, this guy is infinitely more talented and skilled than this guy, but this guy is that much bigger than this guy. And so does the skill outweigh the size? Here, he's now going for a guy who's around, 45 to 50 pounds bigger than him. He'll probably end up, I think, being like 25 to 30 in the end, but also that much more skilled as well. And so, some people like to bring up AJ's chin. I don't subscribe to that. He did get stopped by Andy Ruiz many, many years ago. And then there was the Dubois fight, the last one in September. But I just don't know if Jake has that pop in his hands to knock him down and knock him out. He's going to have to try to survive. And again, I feel for Jake in this one because, yes, I know he's getting paid and he doesn't need my sympathy. But, like, even if he does survive, I know what the narrative is going to be in the aftermath.
It'll be the same as the Conor fight with Floyd Mayweather.
And I don't think
Floyd,
that's fair.
Floyd was carrying him around.
I don't think
for 8
any
rounds.
of that. By the way, like, I don't think people recognize this. You go to federal, as Dana White likes to say, federal effing prison if you work a fight. Like, if you work a fight, you go to prison. And the UFC is involved in their own issue right now with a fighter potentially throwing a fight, Isaac Dalgarian. Like, it is not worth it, especially on Netflix. You think Netflix wants to be involved in a worked fight like this? No. So, yeah, I think AJ is going to go out there. AJ already has a deal on the table. I know this for a fact, to fight in February.
Wait a minute. He happens to know? You happen to know? He just said he happens to know for a fact.
He happens to know?
For a fact.
Great Scott, he happens to know.
For a fact.
Gather everyone. Get the children. He happens to know.
That's good stuff. I'm sorry.
So wise.
You happen to know what?
For a fact.
What do you know for a fact?
Oh, that he has a fight in February. So he doesn't want to screw this up. He actually has 2 fights on the table for next year.
Well, the
Two big fights.
fact that he would be fighting again in February suggests that he doesn't believe this is going to go more than a round. Like, he would not normally fight
100%.
again a couple of months later.
Well, actually, he did have a fight scheduled for December, potentially in Africa. It was going to be like a tune-up fight. It was going to be like an 8-round tune-up fight against a fighter, dare I say, a jobber that you've never heard of. And now the brilliance of all this, like, AJ just like stepped in SHIT. Am I allowed to say that? I don't know.
Well, you didn't say it. You just spelled it.
But yeah, you can say it.
You can say it.
You talking about shit?
Yeah. I didn't know what the rules were around here. Anyway, he's now going to get, like, I don't know, 10x, and he's going to fight, as opposed to fighting on DAZN and in front of 6 people, God knows where, no one's tuning into that. He's fighting on Netflix, biggest platform in the world, in a massive arena here in the United States, just a second fight in the United States, like, and it's comparable skill potentially. You know what I mean? Like, Jake is still a novice in this game. He still has less than 15 fights on his resume. No amateur fights. Actually, just one against a YouTuber. Point is, it's an unbelievable turn of events for Anthony Joshua.
When you say, because you didn't want to do the rankings of greatest upsets, but I will say it, if Jake Paul beats this person, it will be what Buster Douglas did to Mike Tyson. Like, this is not, Buster Douglas was a professional fighter who was ready for that fight.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson obviously and famously wasn't ready for that fight in a number of different ways, including having a stand-up comic in his corner as part of the training regimen. But Jake Paul taking this fight and doing all of this is among the most surprising things I've seen in boxing. I don't think somebody with these credentials has ever fought someone like Anthony Joshua. I know thrown in as meat, yes, not co-headliner.
Yeah.
Thrown in specifically to you lose, yes, but never as the payday. Like, this is not an Anthony Joshua payday. This is a Jake Paul payday for Anthony
Wild.
Joshua. That's crazy.
It's wild. He's the A side. Like, his name is first on the poster. It's absolutely wild. And it's a spectacle. It's fun. It's entertainment. It's prize fighting. At the end of the day, that's why I get so upset, especially in the UK. I'm seeing all these pundits over there saying AJ's ruining his legacy and it's ruining the sport and this is a stain on boxing and all this nonsense. Boxing is prize fighting. And here's the one thing. If you want to bring up one thing to be upset about, say, like, hey, from a health and safety perspective, like, you have to be actually concerned that this guy is going to get obliterated, Jake. And if you're team MVP, like, you have to have that on your conscience. Like, our guy can get obliterated. And that's the only concern, in my opinion. The rest is all just, sanctimonious hand-wringing.
The real question is, what's going to happen in the welterweight division of the UFC? We had a massive 2-division championship with Islam Makhachev. All of a sudden, everything underneath that, Bilal, Kamaru Usman's name getting brought up, JDM, is it another rematch? Do we have Carlos Prates kind of making his way in there? Where's Shavkat Rakhmonov? We need to find him. What's going on with the welterweight division, Ariel?
Could you imagine? This guy, when I met him 7 years ago, was saying Conor McGregor, and now he's asking me about Shavkat Rakhmonov. I'm just proud. I'm proud. And Conor says hello. GC says hello.
That's my guy.
Yeah. So we have a huge fight tomorrow. As you know,
by the way, Arman versus Hooker, who do you have there?
Oh my gosh, what a big fight! I like to abstain from predictions.
I know you do, but I want to put you on the spot. You're on my turf now.
No, well, the fighters are so sensitive; they will see this clip and be like, "No, you picked against me, I'm never coming on your show. So it's just not worth it as much as I love you.
Well, you and Armin are already on bad terms, so that's
No. Armin and I are good. Okay. It's the Islam crew that don't like me, and we could get into that another day. Armin and I are good. I love Armin, and I love Hooker too. Bilal doesn't like me. Getting into that later.
He said something weird, by the way.
He did say Epstein thing. It was weird.
That was wild.
Ian Gary against Bilal Muhammad is a huge fight. We have Michael Morales, who did great last week.
Stunner, by the way.
Obviously have Islam, who is the new champion, and you have Carlos Praches. Kamaru Usman's trying to wedge himself into this discussion. It's like a 4-5 horse race, and I think at the end of all of it, Islam's going to get to choose. And quite frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if he picks Kamaru Usman because they're buddies and they're managed by the same guy. And I think that's a travesty and a joke if he gets a title shot next.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Adel. It's a tough name.
Wow.
Wow. All that praise that Ariel was giving you, too. Wow.
Bro, here I am, like bigging up
I'll bail you
your
out.
knowledge.
You got to respect.
And you
I'll bail you out. All right, work the phones during this Ariel segment.
Ali Abdelaziz.
I got some good stuff here. Lane Kiffin has a verbal agreement with both schools, Florida and LSU. It would be for a record-setting salary. Now, on the LSU side, it would be a massive NIL package because, quote, Lane does not want to recruit, and that is what Ed Orgeron would be for. Now, LSU is highly skeptical, thinking that they are being used right now. However, they know that they have a path to Lane's heart, and that is with Lane's son, who is a recruit. And the thought is Lane's son wants LSU.
Is Lane Kiffin a fighter? Who's Lane Kiffin?
I'll catch you up during the break.
Surging middleweight.
Okay.
Now, Ole Miss is furious, like straight up. I've heard Ole Miss wants to fire Lane Kiffin because they're being dragged through this during the college football playoff chase.
Who are your sources here? How do you know all this?
He happens to know, and also Lane's daughter is dating an LSU player. Correct.
There's that.
The honky badger.
Now, the feeling is we're gonna know one way or another today.
Wow.
On Lane Kiffin. Now, Lane Kiffin is in total control of this timeline. He has the college football world by the balls. He has both these schools knowing he is plan A, and they have to go all like Lane Kiffin's not being scared by John Summerall here. Lane Kiffin, I think we're reaching a point of no return. I think the goose is cooked. He's not going to Ole Miss.
Is he related to Pat Summerall?
He spells it differently.
Every time I hear you say Summerall, I think the same thing.
So it's Summerall, not Summerall.
Oh, got it.
But wait,
So I expect a decision real soon here on the Lane Kiffin front because, this is unsustainable.
Did you just report that he's got an oral commitment with both schools?
Yeah, the deal points in terms of money, all that stuff, and NIL commitment, all that stuff is worked out. He has a verbal agreement on the working points of the contract with both schools. Now, it's genuinely about what he wants for his family and what he thinks is a better spot.
Is this a Le Batard exclusive right now?
And seeing if he can pinch either of these schools to
exclusive?
throw more in there.
He's the happen to know guy. That's where when he says happen to know, when you say you happen to know something, you have the credibility to.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to belittle your reporting. I just didn't know that we were in the midst of.
You were questioning
when it gets like regurgitated. Am I going to be grouped in like during the Ariel Hawani segment? Lane, what's his name? Kiffin.
Okay, stop messing with us.
I legit don't know who that is.
Okay.
I was waiting for the bit. Like,
Okay,
what's the bit here?
let's do something you do know about in football. Josh Allen has nine interceptions in his last 8 games. Okay, and a lot of people are pointing out, for example, that Jalen Hurts has thrown just 2 interceptions in his last 528 attempts. You can't turn the ball over. Your team has so many flaws in so many places that you need your quarterback to be a little extra reckless. He won the MVP not being reckless, but they're asking him to do an awful lot. Last night he gets sacked 8 times. They have 3 turnovers, and now they've given up the division. What is the status of your Bills tiers? Because if they don't win the conference this year, when the hell are they going to win it?
Okay, well, first of all, division isn't lost. Let's not get crazy. I know you guys are, in the rearview mirror, but it's not lost. It's not lost. We've had some bad moments, and I still believe in the boys. But this is how I feel on this Friday morning after that disgusting performance. That was disgusting yesterday. Like, there's no reason why they should have lost to that team. Who is Davis Mills? I don't even know who that guy is. What is going on?
Good quarterback.
Here? Not a good
Davis
quarterback.
Mills. Davis Mills had never won consecutive games in 26 starts before the last 3.
Ridiculous. I don't know if him and this Lane guy were sitting in front of me. I'd say like, where's my Uber Eats? I have no idea who
You'd
you
be
are.
weirded out by Davis Mills' neck.
Here's the thing. I love the Bills. I love the team. I love the organization. But the time has come to make a change. The time has come. They should have made a change long ago. If I'm being
You're
100%
firing
honest.
the coach?
The time has come. The time has come.
Why does he look less intelligent when he wears glasses?
Here's the thing. We've had so many, I don't believe in the window being closed. Josh is still in his 20s. Remember, John Elway won when he was 38 or something like that. So Josh has many opportunities. But you can't, I thought the time came after 13 seconds. You know what I'm talking about? I thought the time came when you lost to the Bengals at home in the playoffs. I thought the time came when you lost to the Chiefs at home in the playoffs.
You've been firing McDermott for 3 years?
I'm a basketball connoisseur. Are you familiar with the game of basketball?
I am.
And there was a time back in 2018 that the Toronto Raptors had on their hands the NBA Coach of the Year. His name was Dwayne Casey, right? And Masai Ujiri said, you keep losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers. You keep getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals and not getting us over the hump. And so what did? They made a very tough call. They fired him. The season he won Coach of the Year and brought in Nick Nurse, and of course they brought in Kawhi Leonard as well. I believe though, small detail.
And LeBron left the conference.
Listen, my point is,
that also.
I believe that there are times when a coach has taken you as far as they can take you, right? The Knicks made that determination with Tibbs. I thought a little bit early, but the point is, that happens in sports. And I think Sean McDermott has taken them as far as they can go with him at the helm. And it is very frustrating to see that McDermott and Bean did not do anything to improve the wide receiver core. I can't believe we didn't update it. We didn't upgrade it, I should say, at the trade deadline. The defense is putrid. Special teams is bad. The offensive line is porous at best. You have the best quarterback in the league on your hands, and you've done nothing to put pieces around him to succeed and excel. James Cook has been tremendous, but the rest has been very disappointing. And so I think we need to make a change as we go into the new era with the new stadium.
They don't win at Houston. They've had trouble with that. You got to kind of win the game when Shakir goes for 100 yards and your running back goes for 100 yards.
We are better than the Houston Texans, even with the bad defense and the bad wide receivers and all this stuff. We are better than these guys. We're better than the Dolphins. But we're better than the Patriots too.
But there aren't a lot of teams in the league that are winning a road game when they're getting sacked 8 times and turning the ball over
disgusting.
3 times.
Ariel, you lost head-to-head to the Patriots. That makes them better.
No,
I have to remain consistent on this.
I'm sorry. We'll
Yes,
get
it
them
does.
back. We'll get them back in December. And we lost to you guys too, and that was one of the most embarrassing performances.
What does it look like when you're watching that
I
game
rep the
last
shield.
night in front of the television?
I am so sad because I feel like we are so damn close to finally realizing this. And I've been a Bills fan since 1990. I don't even want this for myself. I don't even want this so I can gloat. I want it for the good people of Western New York. Like, they are some of the greatest people that I've ever been around, the greatest experience, like so loyal. This is all they have.
Their fan base is also wildly generous, too.
They're beautiful people.
Yeah.
They deserve this happiness. They truly do. I want it for them, and I want it for Josh. And they are, man, it's heartbreaking because I feel like we are right there. But sometimes you got to make these tough calls, and you gotta shake things up. And I feel like now's the time to shake it up.
Always a pleasure to see and be around Ariel Helwani. If you're not familiar with his information, it is the best in the business.
Can I say one last quick thing?
Yes.
Very quick. I know we're short on time. I'm looking at this right here, and so I want to say I feel like this is the most appropriate time to say it. Famously, with you guys during the pandemic, I had a debate with David Sampson. And I just want to send my best to David and his family. Much love, and I'm thinking of you, and I'm pulling for you guys. And I'd like to say right here and now, I consider David a friend. I've come a very long way since that debate.
Same. That's crazy
and,
that's happened with you. That might be the greatest. That might be the greatest conquest of David Sampson's life, to go from
Much love, David and the Sampson family.
How it is that you used to feel about him to how you feel about him
I felt
now.
like he killed my baseball team, and I thought he actually came across really well on the Netflix documentary. And I think that he doesn't deserve the blame that he has gotten. And I'd like to say that. David, I love you. I'm pulling for you and your family. You know how I feel about you now. We've buried the hatchet. And, I saw the logo right over there, and I just wanted to say that there is no feud. There is no feud anymore. Put your arms down, everyone in Montreal. David's not the bad guy. He was made out to be the bad guy, and I have seen the light.
Stunning development, really stunning. We have less than a minute left.
Okay.
So the place that I want to just rummage around in and really hurt for Tony in is Tony was very eager to impress you there with his knowledge.
I don't know if I was eager to impress Ariel.
listen,
You
it's
can
more
hear
so
the
of, like,
eagerness. I had it.
Try it again.
That
Try it
confidence
again.
that
Try it
he's
again.
got.
Try it again.
Ali Abdelaziz. The problem is
Nailed it.
I switched the B and I switched the
Layout. Tony.
Look, Tony, please back off.
No,
for a
I'm going to
second.
back off. I'm back off.
I just want Ariel to hear again what you were trying to say as the last words in your conversation, in which you were going to express to Ariel how much you now know about the sport.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Abdel Dazim. Ariel, I mean, to be honest.
No, play it
is
again,
Ilya,
play it
is
again,
Ilya
play it again.
ducking Patty Pimblett? Like, what's happening here?
No, they'll fight in January, I think.
Just keep playing.
One more time. One more
Just
time.
keep playing.
One more time.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Abdel?
He's never sounded
It's a
better.
tough name.
Wow.
Yeah, but Tommy Aspinall.
Yeah.
Okay, and Cyril Gahn. Like, what's
Incredible.
going on there?
Incredible fight. Can't wait for the rematch.
Somebody please help me.
How does it rub you?
Terribly. I need your
that we've got a bit of an emotional week, I would say, here this week as we are leaving this studio. It's been an eventful 2 years where the show has struggled and groaned under the weight of trying to build a business. And we're going to move into new studios. Everything is moving after, I think it's close to 10 years here. And we're going to remember some of the things from the Clevelander because as expensive as the property value has gotten around here, the neighborhood has really deteriorated. There has been
so is my health.
There has been a lot of
but that's your fault.
Shootings here recently and assassinations, plural. And we need to get out of here. And next
And that
week,
move is brought to you by Miller Lite. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Next week is going to be a little bit difficult because we're going to be in the change, and these are not your problems, they are our problems, but we ask for yet more patience after 2 years of trying to build this thing. We're excited about getting into new studios, and we will remember the Clevelander throughout the rest of the week here because one of the great memories I have, Stugotz, it really is one of my favorites as I've gotten late in life and have learned to appreciate some of this nonsense that we get to do every day, is the weekend before we were going to go on ESPN radio and start with whatever it is we were doing with them. They were going to make this studio look like all the other studios, which is just blue paneling behind us that would be nondescript. And my brother and I spent the entire weekend here putting all of this stuff up. And the reason that it's one of my favorite memories is because I remember the screaming phone calls on Monday when no one had been informed that that's what we would look like. And they didn't want us to look like that. Or no one had given them a heads up, I should say. It's not that they didn't want us to look like that. It's that they were going for homogenized at the beginning, and we put up all these tiles that we're at some point here going to just auction off because they've been here for 10 years representing us as we make a move to become a bigger business. We've got, Mike, do you know how many employees we have now? I don't know how many employees we have now.
I walked into today's pre-production meeting and I was a little stunned at how many people were in that room, considering it's just jarring seeing how we've started. And there was a lot of people here when we were doing HQ. It was even tighter back then in many respects because we had the equipment. But I think the stark contrast is from the pandemic days when ESPN would only allow you and me in these studios and people were zooming in. So I am maybe I'll have fonder memories when we get out of here, and I'll look back on some of the stuff that we did here and created here fondly. But I cannot wait to get out of this godforsaken building. All thanks to Miller Lite.
Yeah.
Just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Winner
of 3 World Beer Cups. They don't just give those things away.
You have said that this place is haunted. You have come in hot from L.A. talking way too much about sponsorships and deals. We are moving. This is a growing business, and part that you left out was the answer to my question. How many employees do we have?
I don't know.
A lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Because there's a difference between full-time employees and part-time employees, but in terms of like people that are here, it seems like 87.
It's not here, but it's not just here, but it's a lot of people. It's much, much more than what's on air as we try to get up a video.
You would think the show would be a lot better.
You really would.
But it's only gotten worse.
Well, the solution to everything is hire more people, and then all that happens is more problems.
Well,
That's what I've noticed.
Again, the deterioration of everybody's health.
Yes, that's part of what's
hanging over
happening.
this show.
So, do you have a top 5 nostalgic, syrupy memories instead of hauntings? Let's do some top 5 lists to celebrate our time here. 8 to 10 years, so Stugotz can be nostalgic, so that Roy can be nostalgic.
It's been 8 to 10 years for everybody else. It's been 20 to 30 for Stu.
Yeah, it has.
All
really
in space, by the way.
Yeah.
Billy can get emotional here. Teach the young ones.
I don't want to leave.
What?
I revealed that today in the garage.
Billy said that to me. Yeah, I was having a heater in the garage.
He was talking to Cougs upstairs in the garage. I was walking down.
Who's Cougs?
Cougs.
Oh, you know.
Do you not want to? I am more worried about them finding a body underneath your desk than I am in Melreese.
I have a plastic container. I have to take all this stuff today, I was told. So
that's why you don't want to leave, because you got to clean up.
I like it here. I mean, downtown floods. I don't know if we're supposed to say we're going to downtown, but it floods there, and anytime it rains, I'm gonna have to get a boat or a kayak to get from my car.
Is it Judd Apatow sock puppet still over there?
No, I think one of the dancers took that.
To be clear, we have a day and a time of great hope, and you're already fearing change. You're already
not fear, as I'm comfortable here. This place is fine to me.
Billy's Fear is brought to you by Miller Lite. Just 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
I'm going to see the new studio today. Maybe that'll change things.
You don't want to move? You don't want to move?
I mean, I don't think I get a vote on this. I think it's happening whether I want to or not.
You get a vote. Yeah, we're a little further along. But I am excited for everybody to experience the new building. I've gone over there a couple of times, and I was honestly moved to tears the first time just because there's so much space. So much space to do
tears.
this. I was, because it feels like.
Were you wearing a hard hat?
No. We're beyond that. But not to get too into it, and I'm sure there's plenty of time for nostalgia and stuff like that. But we've been through a lot, man. It's been hard. We've been through a couple of different companies and a bunch of different incarnations of the show. I've had really good memories here, and I've had some professional lows that I would just like to remove myself from. I feel like all those emotions every time I come into this building, which is good and bad, and I'm just really excited for a new mile marker for the company. It feels like actual growth, because we're going to do this in a much nicer place, and I'm excited for that.
All that space in the new building also sponsored by Miller Lite.
Killing it.
We will get to the top 5. Good contribution so far, Greg.
Did you slur
this? When he starts to drink.
Miller Lite,
the guy's bleeding. Leave him alone. I mean,
he is bleeding.
Blood coming out of his wound.
But Billy thinks he looks great.
though.
It looks like he's had work done.
Thank you, Billy.
I don't think Billy was being sarcastic.
I wasn't. I mean, you have a nice haircut, clean shaven. Got a pep in your step today?
Pep in it.
Mm-hmm.
We have. I should probably just tell the audience, because I remember promising Stugotz, and I've lied here, and I try not to lie to the audience or anybody.
Same.
That I would.
What happened?
That I would show the audience like what the last 2 years have been like while we were doing it. We've just had to conceal some of it because it's been hard and messy, and you've probably felt it in the strain of the show. The show has had to change and be different, and like we thought a lot of people were going to jump with us, and a mean came, and it was a mean, and then we looked and it was still a mean, and it's a mean, and reinforcements are now coming, ever so slowly. Heroic Pablo
What's
Torre
he doing,
running.
by the
I don't know.
way?
Just help him.
Jesus Christ!
Planting something.
Did he get the memo of the unlimited PTO that everybody takes around here?
But this, yes.
Where is he?
That was in retrospect, as a company policy, it's delightful. I like it spiritually, but it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts the unlimited personal time off.
Terrible policy.
But it's a good policy. You got to admit, it's a good
the policy is we never know who's going to be here.
He's a surprise in that sense.
I can answer the questions on where's Pablo, but there's a lot that goes into this move, and if you haven't been able to tell already, Dan will be making excuses on the front end for the dip in quality. And he's very worried about this move. And Pablo's not here in part because we're all worried about how Dan will take this move. There's a lot of stuff that we're throwing at Dan. We're changing the formatting of the show. We're changing where the show is produced from. And I think just throwing Pablo and, hey, here's another body complicates things a little bit. So we're going to ease Pablo into the rotation.
Nobody wants to hear the excuses, and I am making excuses for whatever the content is next week when we're between studios.
Dan's excuses are brought to you by Miller Lite.
Excellent.
What is your top 5 list about? Have you assembled a top 5 list? I'd like to do this a little syrupy if we can, because it's an emotional week for me and for us, Stugotz.
We get an emotional week next week and the week after that too.
They're all emotional at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a very sensitive ecosystem, and I'm very worried about changing the ecosystem around Dan.
Well, this has been a comfortable place for us. I shouldn't say.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings! The crown is yours.
Tony is broken, and he has described Chris Cody as radiant because someone made a mistake.
Great morning.
Made a verbal mistake, made a pronunciation mistake worse than any Chris Cody has made. The worst part about it, look, this is a real cyclone of regret and embarrassment here. Jeremy also happy at Tony's misery. The cyclone of regret isn't merely that the name was botched this amazingly. The regret is also it was going to be the last words that he spoke to Ariel Helwani, a king in this business who, if he doesn't want to earn his respect or show him how much he knows, he at the very least doesn't want to embarrass himself in front of Ariel.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Adele. It's a tough name.
Wow.
If you would have said to me before today, who in media does Tony most want to be? Yeah. I might have said Ariel Helwani.
The majesty of everything that's happening there is that Tony never did get it right. He just bailed on it, and there was never actually the satisfaction of getting the name right.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Adele. It's a tough name.
Wow. Mike Fuentes was consoling and comforting Tony, and these times they don't have comfort in them. So I just walked by Fuentes saying to Tony, it is a tough name. And it wasn't reaching Tony. Like, it wasn't helping Tony. Tony, after
I heard him say to Jeremy, look up the name. No, I'm serious. Look up how it's spelled.
It's tough. It's not 3 names. It is just 2 names. But they're tough 2 names.
It is indisputably a tough name to say.
Ali Abdelaziz.
But it is especially hurtful to try and say it in front of one of your heroes, the man you most want to be like in the industry.
So you think there's a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Adele. It's a tough name.
The funny thing is Ariel answered his question.
Yeah,
like,
the
first
question was a
attempt.
good one.
He goes,
yes.
absolutely. Like midway through, you hear his answer.
Yes, the question so was a little bit of home cooking with
Absolutely.
Adele. It's a tough name.
Whoa!
I also enjoyed that he just hit the Adele-azine at the end there. John Travolta. Who was John Travolta trying to introduce when...
Jeremy knows.
Idina Menzel.
Let's go ahead and find, as the alarm goes off here, the sound of John Travolta
I sent the alarm off.
famously trying...
I set it off, Dan. Sorry, I pulled the fire alarm. I had to get out of this somehow.
I think when we do this tournament of most famous sounds in the show's history, I believe that this will be a team in the tournament if we do famous sounds in the show's history, right?
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazim.
That's basically what I said to Ariel Helwani. Basically what I said.
Well, at the end, you did say Adele.
Yeah, because I had to pull the bungee cord somehow.
Adele Dazim.
I was dying in there. And that's so he was talking about how a guy in Islam's camp doesn't like him. That's his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, also managing Kamaru Usman.
Absolutely.
It's a tough name.
Wow.
Come on!
I also think that, Mike Ryan, you tell me if you're reporting something there that I am unlikely to see reported anywhere else before you've reported it, which is the rare and perfectly symbolic distinction that Lane Kiffin has right now at the height of being wanted, where he makes an oral commitment to 2 schools.
He's made a verbal agreement on the deal points with both schools right now. And I think one of the more interesting parts about this and one of the more sympathetic deals here with this story is Ole Miss's position. They are rightfully furious. This is a majestic season for Ole Miss. These opportunities don't come around often for this school. And from where I'm sitting right now, given the hostility that's warranted, I understand, even though I also think Lane Kiffin does deserve this opportunity too. I don't know if he's going to be coaching this Egg Bowl, Dan, and that has implications, especially if Ole Miss loses that game.
You say that Mississippi has righteous anger, earned anger, and under normal circumstances, with almost any place in sports, I would agree with you. The one diluter I would offer here is you got into business of marriage with the exotic dancer. Like, this guy represents in this sport, it's business first, and business is the only thing that matters. And if career opportunity is the only thing that matters, Lane Kiffin is only at Mississippi so that this opportunity presents itself. It's the only reason he's going there. He was slumming by going there. The fact that he has achieved or overachieved beyond anyone's expectations to make him the most coveted coach going at a time it's a good time to be a coveted coach. You've done this to yourself with the marriage that you got into, and this is the business that you're in now. The business has changed since you got Lane Kiffin, and this is how it's changed. Since Lane Kiffin has been in play, how many years has he been at Mississippi now?
It feels like 6. He was at FAU in 2017, so it's probably been a while. You say he's overachieved. I think he's properly achieved, and I would look back at last year and say he underachieved.
The reason I'm saying overachievement is because Mississippi playing or being in play for the national championship and the playoffs is not something that I had expected. And so when Lane Kiffin's been there for 6 years, and we saw that FAU team here, he made that FAU program matter, and it was fascinating, actually, when we went out there with the Codys to see a FAU game.
High school players they look like.
No, it's not even high school players. It looked like peewee players.
Yeah,
like,
I was.
They were so small. The players on the field were so small, and he had that being a 9 and 10 win FAU program. But here's what's changed in these 6 years since you got into business with Lane Kiffin. Everything. Brian Kelly in those 6 years gets bought from Notre Dame by LSU. Flames out. The landscape changes so much at Florida that Florida can afford, like a lot of other schools, the buyout midseason of get the hell out of here. We've got to keep up right now. We've got to get a better coach when the getting is good. And I really ask you legitimately, Mike, as you are enmeshed in the business of just really ugly finance and currency. It ain't boxing, but it's coming close to boxing. And just because it's been sis boom ba and amateurism and it's about the kids in the way that it's been framed, rest assured it is no longer that if it ever was. It was better disguised before, but now what it is if you're Mississippi, you are only a stepping stone for the next coach who wants a career opportunity that's better than the one in Mississippi. That's what you are as a program because you've never won anything. The only reason Lane Kiffin is there after FAU is because that's what you exist as a program. So you're only allowed to be so mad. And I get why they're mad. Of course, they're emotional and they've never had this kind of hope. But this is the deal you made with the exotic dancer when you decided to marry him.
I don't know the details surrounding their anger other than the obvious. All I know is that they are pissed. Like I heard from sources that they want to fire Lane Kiffin right now. That's how toxic it is. I think the unfortunate part about all of this is the timing. And could Lane have handled this a little bit better? Could he have had this commitment and made sure he was all right with Ole Miss? Maybe. We can't ignore history here with Lane Kiffin. You would think that he would learn from it a little bit. I don't think this is quite as ugly as Tennessee because that was really ugly. But he did this 20 years ago, Dan, burning mattresses in his wake. He left for a better opportunity. And Tennessee is like one of the top 10 jobs in the nation, and he left for USC. Tennessee is wondering, like, what makes that job so much better? This one's a little bit more obvious. He has an interesting decision to make. I think if he wants, like, the best job, it's LSU for what they're promising. But he's been going back and forth with Florida for quite some time.
You made a correction of me when I said that he had made an oral commitment to both schools. You said that he's got, in principle, a verbal a financial setup with both schools. I have not heard that, not just about Lane Kiffin. I have not heard that ever as a report that someone has a verbal arrangement with two schools. It's the first time I've heard a report of that kind, and you've got that locked down.
He's got a verbal agreement with both schools. This is not about money anymore. This is about what does Lane want to do here, and I think Lane understands he needs to make a decision soon because I think we've surpassed critical mass here. Florida did institute a deadline last night, and Lane Kiffin laughed at that. I think we find out today on Lane Kiffin. If he doesn't, I don't know what college football is going to look like tomorrow because you got three big programs here, and all of them are starting to get heated, and you have one of the biggest personalities in the sport. It's just it's unsustainable for this to continue going the way that it is. It's Lane's decision right now. The family aspect is not something that you can ignore. Florida would properly be pissed too because they have felt for a while now that Lane Kiffin was going to be their next coach. And I said it earlier, but let me revisit it again. LSU does have skepticism here. They do think that they're being used as a pawn a little bit, but they know that they have a path to Lane's heart, which is Lane's son. And the general thinking is Lane's son wants LSU.
How does it rub you?
I haven't quite seen what's in front of us before, and I'm trying to think. I'm going through the data bank, the library, trying to think of a situation that looks exactly like this one when I think of coveted coach, possibly.
Who doesn't recruit. And the deal points around this, bake that into the deal, Dan. We know you don't want to recruit, so who do you want on your staff that will recruit, and how much NIL do you need?
I am used to coaches upgrading. I am used to coaches leaving schools before bowl games. I am not used to a team with a championship chance thinking about firing its coach, giving the consideration to firing its coach before we've even gotten to the playoff portion of this. Before a championship chance. Like that's not something, I don't even know. I'm trying to think of what's comparable to a coach. This isn't, I've seen coaches leave before the bowl game. I've seen coaches leave before December or at the beginning of December. I have not seen a coach throw away an alleged championship chance.
They have their biggest rival next Saturday. It's the biggest game in program history to solidify at the very least a first round bye.
You've got one loss in an SEC where Alabama and Texas and a whole bunch of other schools are looking up at you in the rankings.
Another thing I want to revisit is this will indeed be a record-setting salary for a head coach. It will far surpass that of Kirby Smart's.
Good spot to be in if you're Lane Kiffin. No one can tell you anything about anything. They can't set timelines for you. You don't have to respect anything that anyone is giving you in the way of timelines. Not Mississippi, not Florida, and not LSU. You have all of the power here for as long as you're willing to endure this part of it. And I think he's willing to endure this part of it because I will tell you, no matter how much we do this optically, this is never and has never been about the kids. It's not about education. It's not about anything other than how do the coaches get to the next spot that is better than the spot they already are so that they can have a lifetime of security for their family.
At least the kids aren't victims the way that they used to be, Dan, because I understand your point, but they're less victims now than they've ever been. It is a lot about the kids. And
well,
it's the Jerrys and Joes.
Let's go ahead and talk about some other quote-unquote kids that nobody is going to feel bad for today. But I did think it was interesting yesterday when the headline started coming out that the Lakers were firing both of the bus kids from their scouting departments. And I know that Nepo babies are not viewed
They work hard.
By the majority of the public as victims. However, the story of the Lakers, as much as it's been told, the part that goes unnoticed often, and it's weird that it goes unnoticed, is that the Buss family hasn't been rich the way that other sports owners have been rich, where they make their money elsewhere and then the ownership of the team is a plaything on the side, a hobby, a money-making vehicle that is just a different oil well in their portfolio. The Lakers have been, and you've heard me say this before, a mom and pop business for a long time. I cannot imagine the heartbreak and the hurt and all of the dysfunction in the family of the Buss kids, wherever it is that people fight over money and power inside of families. For the Buss kids to realize that the end of everything they've done with their father's business is you're fired. The new people don't want you. You're gone. Get out of here.
Hold on.
Are you doing this?
It's one in particular, right? Jeannie Buss is the one that's kind of been chopping heads across the family. And when they did the sale, I was listening to Brian Windhorst earlier today, that each kid got about a hair less than $1 billion each. Yeah. So it's not like they're cutting and being like, damn, where am I going to go eat? They got $100 million.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. What do you mean I can't do this? I am looking at this. I'm not looking, and I get why most people would simply look at the money. Yes. Those kids have been fighting Jeannie Buss. Those boys have been fighting Jeannie Buss the entirety of their tenures. Jeannie Buss has I'm just talking about family dysfunction here and what it means to be cut out of your dad's thing when you care about the basketball portion of this. The Buss family is only associated with basketball. Any power those kids, those boys have in Los Angeles is born of having that last name. And that last name is being diluted right now by please leave. We don't want you around anything that's basketball related.
Well, now the power will come from having $1 billion each.
Understood.
But no, and they still have the last name. Their name is still good. And Tony mentioned it. Their heads got chopped off by their sister early on.
Right.
They never cared about this franchise the way that she did. Everybody's been handsomely rewarded. They are not victims here. They are great. They are doing so good. Jay Moore is the richest comedian in the history of stand-up. Do you understand that?
You guys always do this with money, and the thing that I think that you ignore because of just the sheer number of unhappy rich people I know is where it is that people get their identity and their name identity on things. My rich friends, yes. They are not my weather friends and they are not my math friends. They're just my money friends.
Right, but the narrative around the brothers was that they never really cared about this anyways.
Oh,
and
but
that's why
that's
Jeannie ascended to power.
That's not true.
It's not true. Dan's correct in the sense where Jeannie was the one that. So there's always been a vote divided by the 5 Buss kids on selling the team or not selling the team. Jeannie was always on the not sell the team part, but then was able to move over to the sell the team part when she got guarantees that she was going to be the governor for the team in a way that cuts everybody else out of the deal.
So, Mike, while I understand that the audience in general is going to side with you on this, the part that I was actually interested in examining as a dynamic, because family problems are family problems, and whether they're money or something else, the idea that Jeannie's the famous one, the idea that Jeannie's the competent one, The idea that Jeannie's the powerful one and she decides what it is gets done with the money, and that the boys who run that scouting department are, in reality and optically, her inferior, less competent, and you just casually said, they don't care about basketball, while kids who had money didn't have to be working for a living.
Remember the interview that they gave? Everyone's like, who's this joke?
They didn't want to be jokes, though. The bus boys didn't want to be jokes.
He was wearing an Ed Hardy shirt.
The bus boys.
Von Dutch bedazzled hat.
Poor guys are going to have to work as bus boys because they only got $1 billion.
They were looking like Chris Angel, the mind freak.
That is true.
The bus boys are going to make for very poor martyrs. The part that I was more interested in examining is, no matter how much money you or your family have, your sister being better than you at everything always is something that leaves marks. And you as a family always fighting over the money and power so that you don't like your sister, you don't get along with your sister, and your sister is always the one making the decisions on things. I know nobody's going to feel bad for the busboys because of $1 billion, but I just was saying to you how embarrassing it must be for your late father to have cared about something that way. And the punctuation on your career there is not unlike Tony's punctuation when talking to Ariel Helwani. Just a avalanche of incompetence.
That is Abdel. It's a tough name.
Wow.
It's not lost on me.
From the top rope from you, by the way.
You're referring to them as busboys.
That was wild.
It couldn't be further from the truth in terms of an occupation and the reality. They're all Billy Madison squirting sunblock on their nipples.
But they
Nudie Magazine Day!
And you, Golden State Golden Yellow Jacket guy over there.
Hey, Penguin.
Oh, wow.
What are you doing here?
Why don't we pull up that sound, huh?
You think
Have a pickle race.
You think that Golden State Golden Jackets is as bad as
that was a bad one.
It was
possibly worse.
Agreed.
Possibly worse.
Agreed. It was a bad one. I cannot dispute that it was a bad one. You got that exactly right. I did that very poorly. I'm embarrassed by it. It is a mark that has been left on me that stings and hurts, just like leaving peanut shells in the staircase. A shame I've carried with me for 24 hours. Means Golden State, Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets.
Yeah. Worse.
Right,
Sorry.
Put them next to each other.
Where's Judge Zaslow? Where is he?
Certainly mine was easier.
You're just saying the wrong thing. Like, he's just like struggling to say. He's saying the right thing, but saying it incorrectly.
But he never says it. He never gets it right.
Well, both you guys have Chris Cody on your side. It is clear.
Abdel. It's a tough name.
Wow.
Jeremy, whoa, in the background.
Jeremy, please.
I just couldn't believe it.
Do a hip thrust with confidence, damn it.
Me?
He has 2 Emmys.
That doesn't matter. Can he hip thrust?
Please put Dave Damashek in the picture-in-picture as he gets ready for his Football America hit to talk football. He is trying to be a gemstone here, and he is waiting to come on. I don't want to hear from him yet. He's going to begin yammering when we get to his segment. But I simply want visually for people to see him.
Dressed as Dan Orlovsky on Get Up right now.
Well, I just saw him. I just saw his mouth, and he was having a lot of trouble with his teeth. Like his teeth were moving around in his mouth in a way that suggested that his teeth were not in any way real. And so Football America has another new episode today. It goes out on Mondays and Fridays, and it is a fun show. It is a weird show. It is an entertaining show. It is an informative show, and Damashek is going to join us here to talk football in a moment, serving one of his punishments as a gemstone. So we're looking forward to that. Tony, are you doing okay? Because that one hurts. You work hard, you hustle. Yeah. In my imagination, I'm honestly having trouble imagining something more professionally nightmarish for you. Yeah. Then Ariel Helwani, the standard in your business, you were talking very fast and you were saying a lot of names that are hard to pronounce. And you did so on a slalom course of great excellence right up until you got to the last one.
Absolutely. Abdel. It's a tough name.
Wow.
Didn't feel great.
In the imagination, though, if I were to give you a nightmare of, like, what can I create for you professionally and publicly that would be more more damaging than trying to say a name correctly and then never getting it right as the last words you say to Ariel Helwani in town for 24 hours before he leaves?
I mean, it wasn't great. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't great. I didn't feel the best when it came out, but I understand that he knows what I was going for. Obviously, you guys are a pack of hyenas, so it's tough to get anything past you, but like, I feel like he understood me. Was it greatly embarrassing? Yes.
You're not going to answer my question.
Probably just one person that's worse. Oh, to have a ticket to Rams Bucks. To have a ticket to Rams Bucks. I'm sure it's really in demand, but I got to do so much guessing. I'm not familiar with the area. The tickets got to be really hard to find. Why don't you take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time? You download the app, you create an account, and use the code DAN to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
He's a television writer. He's the host of the latest Meadowlark football podcast, Football America. And he's doing, is that Baby Billy that you are doing from the Gemstones as your grid punishment, Damashek?
Cocaine!
Okay, I guess so. Yes, that is what you're
One
doing.
squirt of this, no more COVID. I got to get rid of these teeth. Now, go on, get now.
It is hard to talk with
Good
those
impression.
teeth. Yeah,
I love great Hunter Biden.
it was a good impression. I thought it was Conor McGregor. Can you just put them back in though for the first bit of analysis here? I just like the first bit of football analysis if you can do it in character. Give me some current playoff teams who can't afford to lose in Week 12.
Now, Eli, I want to talk about pigskin much as you do now, but I'm going to talk about the Buss family. They're from Hollywood. They understand show business, something you don't get. Now, they don't know about that. Jerry Buss had an incompetent in his family, a hanger-on. I don't want to know what he had to deal with, but they had to get rid of them kids already. All right, let's talk about football now. I'm sorry. I tried to weigh in on something because I was drawing a connection between Baby Billy and the Buss boys. Anyhow, yes. Pro football teams.
Did you think we didn't understand what you were doing there?
I just couldn't understand because of the teeth.
It seemed pretty clear.
That's why
it seemed pretty clear that you were making the connection between what we were just talking about and this segment.
Eli need to get some Jesus in his life. Stop talking back to me now. Listen, yeah, I didn't know if I was articulating myself well enough for you to understand what I was trying to lay down there. Yes, let's talk about pro football, though, shall we? And there are a lot of teams, if you talk to pro football players, as you guys do, they'll tell you things ramp up. Things start getting real. Right around, now I'm kind of still doing Baby Billy there. Now, things are going to get real now, right around Thanksgiving time, right around Turkey Day. Now, turkey is something that Jessica Smetana and Mike Fuentes are too cool to eat, even though that's what you're supposed to eat on Thanksgiving. They need some Jesus in their lives. But anyway, Thanksgiving is around the time that pro football players will tell you, I don't know what they were doing for the preceding 3 months, but they say now the season really starts. And guess what? We're at Thanksgiving, and there are a lot of teams that are sitting in a playoff spot, some of them even in first place. But if they drop a game this week, they're in serious jeopardy of missing the whole tournament. Let's tick through them. The Lions are right up there. I know everybody loves them. Borderline America's team, of course. Football America's team 2025 was and is and will remain, despite what happened on Thursday night, the Buffalo Bills. But the Detroit Lions, a lovable bunch too. If you ain't paying attention, though, they're right on the cusp there. They should handle the Giants. If they don't, they're doomed. Because
they wouldn't be in the playoffs if they started today.
Right, and they got to handle the Giants. Like I say, double-digit favorite, which is almost damning them. 10.5, that's all they're giving to the Giants? Sheesh. I think Vegas is starting to catch on that without Ben Johnson, they are on, as we talked about a few months ago, they are on a gentle decline while the Bills are ascending ever so slightly.
The Bills are not ascending. How do you have that?
No, see, I still have the teeth in. I meant to say Bears. The Bears are the Bears. Ben Johnson has that team tracking right. Like I say all the time, there is a case to be made that as important as the quarterback is, the guy at the trigger obviously is who you want. But the guy in his ear, the guy calling the plays, may be more significant. Who would you rather have? Ben Johnson on your staff? We may decide by the end of this season that Jared Goff was less important than Ben Johnson was to what the Lions were doing, and you could make the same case for Brock Purdy or Mac Jones up there with Shanny in San Francisco, and so it goes. So the Lions desperately need to take care of business because they've got a tough road to hoe after this one. Everybody has talked about the Kansas City Chiefs, but there's just no more room for them to fall back. The problem is the Indianapolis Colts also desperately need to win. I think people are not really paying much attention to it, or maybe they just don't want this to be a reality. But beware them Jacksonville Jaguars. They're right behind them, and if the Colts lose at KC this weekend, the Jags are going to be hovering right there, as are the Houston Texans. It's conceivable that the feel-good story of 2025 may evaporate somewhere in Act 3 here. The Steelers desperately need to win this one. I'll say it right now. They ain't getting to double digits if they lose to the Bears this week. They have 4 heavyweights upcoming with Detroit, Buffalo, and 2 with the Ravens.
And then the Dolphins.
The Bucks. Yeah, well, and the Dolphins are in some. Yeah, they also mix in the Dolphins there. And
before you get to the Bucks, though, Aaron Rodgers is going to try and play with a broken wrist.
I mean, I think it's a terrible idea. It's been floated that Mike Tomlin feels like he has to start Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron wants to play, he's not going to say no to him. If that's the case, I don't know what. That sounds insane to me if it's not good for the team or if it's not the best option for the team. And, Mina Kimes said it. She and I have gone back and forth about this. It's pretty clear if you're watching Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people have a hard time distinguishing the name brand versus the current reality of it. Aaron Rodgers in his prime is not what you're getting in Pittsburgh. Obviously, to people who are watching, he's having trouble moving around and he's prioritizing not getting smacked. I get it. He understands his own mortality. He's in his 40s, as we've talked about. Again, now he has a broken left wrist. He has a ball in his throwing hand. How's he going to defend himself? What he's going to do is he's going to turtle up like Peyton did, like Brady did, and like all old men do when sizable men are chasing him around on the field. So it's a terrible idea to throw Aaron out there. The reality, this is not Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Everybody's got to get clear about this in their brains here. I'm not saying that Mason Rudolph is better than Aaron Rodgers in 2011. I'm saying right now with an Aaron Rodgers who doesn't want to get hit and now has now is going to be further incented to defend himself. You're going to put him out on the field instead of Mason Rudolph? Insane.
Dave, it's been shocking to see how different Aaron Rodgers is in the pocket when there's pressure coming. It doesn't even have to be intense pressure. He is so scared of getting hit, and I think you're absolutely right. You couple that with a broken wrist, he's going to be extra jumpy. You'd be better off with the backup.
Put this on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Do old men turtle up when large men chase them, yes or no? It is weird to watch all of that. And before we go any further, though, when you're putting both the Colts and the Chiefs in the category of needing to win the game this weekend, the Colts through 11 weeks, okay, higher points per drive than any team other than the 2007 Patriots, the undefeated one with Randy Moss and Tom Brady, or the 2018 Saints of Drew Brees. This is an offense that is really historically strong. And while Mina Kimes goes on the Foxworth show and says that the Colts are a better team than the Chiefs, she also can't see Mahomes losing 3 in a row when the last one is needed to save their season. So where are you on that?
I'm going to take the Chiefs at home. I guess I'm maybe one of the curmudgeons I like to make fun of that until you see it, you don't believe it. I'm going to ride with Mahomes. I think he understands the stakes of where they are now, that they just simply can't afford to drop one, and I'll take Mahomes over Indiana Dimes or whatever his name is. But the other thing is we saw the Texans are on the rise, and like I say, the Jags have just a cakewalk. The math favors Jacksonville down the stretch. They have a cupcake schedule aside from a trip to Denver the rest of the way. They should win out pretty much after this week. The Colts schedule is more fraught. It's as simple as that. So if they can go into Arrowhead, and I was talking about this the day after the Super Bowl when the Eagles just sort of felt like the Emperor has no clothes. I mean, is that in fact the carryover? Is it in fact what was the damn broken emotionally and spiritually and otherwise, that like, oh yeah, they're human, they bleed, these Chiefs, and it feels kind of like the NFL figured something out that the Chiefs showed them, like, oh yeah, they're just human beings. They're just people like us after all.
Yeah, but what do you do? What do you do with the
I have a little runny nose like baby Billy, like I'm doing cocaine. I'm not doing that.
What do you do, though, with the fact that our perception on the Chiefs is wrong? Their offense per drive is better than any offense they've had with Mahomes. Like, I'm not making that up. In terms of scoring per drive, they score more touchdowns per drive with this offense than they ever have. They're just losing the close games. This is what's happening with the analysis of the Texans here recently. You understand that the Texans were 0-5 in one-score games, and now should C.J. Stroud be replaced by Davis Mills because they've won? They're 3-0 in their last 3 one-score games. Like, I don't think Davis Mills has that ability. Do you?
Here, this is the bottom line, and it may be unsatisfying to hear this, but this is a dream come true for Raj and his network partners. They love mediocrity. They call it parody, but that's what we're looking at here. How do you explain this result last week and then this result this week? Parity. That's how. Everybody is pretty close to even Steven here, and I don't want to live in this world. I don't think it's a good world where 15 and 8 are interchangeable. I know Megyn Kelly likes that, but I do not. Roger loves it.
Hot damn.
But that's the bottom line. It is hard to distinguish the top tier teams from the second tier teams. And, you assume that the quarterbacks, the superhero quarterbacks, are going to provide the difference there. And maybe we'll see that in the final third, but we're not off to a great start when you know that going into week 12 in a where a lot of teams gotta have it. It's not must win because of course Rodgers not going to cancel any of the games in week 13, so we should stop using the phrase must win until it is in fact must win. But these teams gotta have it. The Chiefs are one of them. The Bills, if they wanted to get the number one seed by winning the AFC East, they had to have it last night. And Josh Allen, superhero quarterback supreme, couldn't get it done. So that may be a harbinger for teams hanging their hat on, well, we got a better quarterback than you.
The quotes I saw yesterday from Sam Darnold, where he was saying that the Seahawks, that their turnovers are unacceptable. The Seahawks have 20 turnovers. It's more than any team in the sport. If they can solve that, they are the best team in the sport. Can they solve that?
I think so, but you also have to be careful about this, and I don't mean this from a pure entertainment standpoint. You hear a lot about this specific to Jordan Love up in Green Bay, and last January you heard a ton of this, and I think it's sadly ironic for the aforementioned superhero level talents at quarterback in the QB league, which is, we know Lamar Jackson and Sam Darnold to a lesser degree, same draft class, obviously, but, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and so on. You're the difference maker for us. You can do something on the gridiron that maybe 5 or 6 human beings have ever been able to do. Don't do that, though, because you might turn the ball over. That's an unsatisfying position that we've reached in our society, I think. We're asking these guys, I get it, you have to be safe with the ball security and all of that, but also the difference that the high-end QBs can theoretically provide, you need to try and take advantage of that instead of approaching every game scared. You know who does that a lot? Mike Tomlin does that.
Yeah, but Mike Tomlin does that, but you know who else does it? Nick Sirianni. Like, what are you doing with the following information? When the Eagles win the turnover battle, they're 40-2. 40-2. If you do that over 3 seasons, you're going to win the Super Bowl every year. Because
Eli, we talked about this though. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles have somehow slipped into the same status of the New England Patriots a decade or 15 years ago, which is whatever they're doing, pay no mind to it because it's not going to transfer to your team. I don't understand, beyond Howie Roseman's involvement, how the Philadelphia Eagles, with a quarterback who even his own teammates consider a little bit deficient in a lot of ways, in a lot of fundamental ways as a quarterback. They have a complainer at wide receiver in A.J. Brown and Nick Sirianni, where progressive offensive minds are everything in the here and now. Nick Sirianni has been in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, and he won 1 of them. And both of them were against the Chiefs. Pay no mind to this. You cannot transfer whatever voodoo Howie Roseman has sprinkled onto Philadelphia. It does not. It will not relate to whatever other situation we're talking about. Now, your Rams, or should I say, Mike Ryan's Bucks playing the Rams in L.A., are one of those teams. Both the Bucks and L.A. better have this one. If the Rams drop this one, you're absolutely right. The Seahawks are this quiet team back there, and I think on the big stage a week ago, a lot of people were expecting a little bit more out of Sam Darnold, and I get it if you're pessimistic based on the way he wound down 2024. He wasn't great in a big spot, but if they can get that right, they do get the Rams one more time, the division can be theirs, and so, believe it or not, can be the number 1 seed.
Dave, if you got up right now and you went to brunch at the Ivy, how many of the waiters leave you headshots? You are giving off producer, pal.
Look here now. We gotta get Baby Billy's Bible bonkers. Gotta get you on that show. I get some Jesus in your life. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly who.
Robert Evans. You're giving off Robert Evans.
Yeah, you're giving off a Hollywood big shot who has fallen on hard times, and B-list actors don't want to meet anymore for lunch, even though he wants to meet them.
Losing your lady always hurts, but when you lose her to the biggest star in the world, you feel small.
Give me some information here before you get out of here. Football America is the podcast. I recommend it strongly if you want football nourishment combined with entertainment. What is real here? Can you guys look this up for me? Because CeeDee Lamb is saying that he and George Pickens were held out against the Raiders on the first drive because they missed curfew in Las Vegas, which is 10 p.m. But the internet is saying that CeeDee Lamb was vomiting outside of a casino the night before the game. What's accurate here in terms of what happened with Dallas sitting Pickens and CeeDee Lamb for the first drive against the Raiders, and how useless is that as a punishment, sitting guys for the first drive, which went, of course, 3 and out. They were playing 3 wide receivers, none of them their good ones.
I think it's a hysterical punishment. Just one drive. I hope you guys learned your lesson. Now go score a bunch of touchdowns, or else we're going to lose this game and be out of the playoff mix.
Which they did.
Don't. That's exactly right. By the way, I don't know if you're paying attention, although we just talked about it 4 minutes ago, and Aaron Rodgers or Mason Rudolph. Boy, George Pickens could sure be valuable to a deficient passing game in Pittsburgh. But Omar Khan, the GM, and Mike Tomlin had to get rid of him because he was a ne'er-do-well, don't you know? He was a pain in the ass, and shame the devil if a pro football team ever had to try to manage a pain-in-the-ass diva at wide receiver. There's no history of any team ever succeeding. Well, wait a minute. The Eagles won the Super Bowl with A.J. Brown, but that's just a one-off because Randy Moss had some pretty good years with New England and the Vikings and all of that, but that's the extent of it. The Steelers they did have Antonio Brown. Mike Tomlin, such a great manager of all personalities, no matter how wild they get, but they couldn't deal with George Pickens. No, not in a year in which Omar Khan said into a microphone, "We're chasing the Super Bowl this year." Well, it leads me to believe that maybe there are 2 guys who look very similar walking around the Steelers facility, both named Omar Khan, because the Omar Khan who says that they're trying to win the Super Bowl and bringing in Darius Slay and Aaron Rodgers and all the other veterans seems to disagree with the Omar Khan who traded away George Pickens in a contract year, who George Pickens certainly understands that if I have one good year, generational wealth for my family forever. But we can't keep him around because he's a bad seed, you see.
Fair. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is George Pickens a ne'er-do-well, don't you know?
George Pickens had a pretty good game for having this weird suspension. Dave, you're a learned man. You know history quite well. Are you familiar with the 1992 possession suspension of Michael Irvin? Or can I tell you and the audience about it? Because Michael Irvin was late for the team charter. Troy Aikman saw him outside the plane window, and he's rushing to the plane, and Jimmy Johnson says, "Leave without him." Michael Irvin is forced to buy a one-way commercial ticket to Detroit. He is benched for the first possession of that game until Norv Turner gets in Jimmy Johnson's headsets and said, "Coach, you're killing us. We suck. Harper is doing nothing out there." Michael Irvin pops off for 114 and a tutty.
Let me name drop for you real quick, Michael Irvin. One day I was, we were... Look at me, One day I was having a catch with Hall of Fame wide receiver Michael Irvin down on the gridiron, down on the field at Indianapolis around the Combine, I believe. And I threw him a pass in the corner of the end zone, and he caught it, and he turned around to the empty stands, and he took his iconic pose like this, not unlike Baby Billy is fond of doing in front of an audience. And I said to him, "Man, that feeling must be something indescribable to be cheered on that level by 70,000 people for something that you've just done. And he said, man, you know me, I've had a lot of fun in my life. There's nothing like that. And maybe that is the transition that George Pickens and everybody else sort of makes, that you have to play on the fact that, yes, you can go and have your fun in Vegas and throw up if that's fun for you, but the one irreplaceable thing is performing under the lights like that. And I think that when you talk about maturity or lack thereof early on in a career, guys start to get that there is no replacement for the shine you get on Sundays, no matter what else you're doing in Vegas or otherwise. And understanding that is everything.
A quick answer on CeeDee Lamb and the Cowboys curfew. He says, I know how to hold my liquor. So it sounds like it wasn't him throwing up because he knows how to hold his liquor, so maybe it was somebody else.
All right, thank you for the update. Damashek is at the helm, the skipper of Football America. It is something you should be listening to if you care about football. On the way out, who is the better producer on Football America? Is it Mike or Gino Fuentes?
Well, I'm going with Gino because he's a man of tradition. Mike Fuentes wants to eat carnitas on Thanksgiving. What are we doing? Are we getting rid of Christmas trees now, too? Oh, I like Christmas, but the tree clouds up my house. Get rid of it. Fair.
Man, that had an undercurrent of racism in it, hitting him with the
what are you doing?
Hitting him with the carnitas.
Racism?
Yes,
What does racism?
The carnitas were unnecessary. I think
That's what he wants.
That was a funny line.
That's what he wants.
That's what he wants. You're the racist.
I didn't make that up. What do you? Come on now. Wait. What are you talking about? Go on, get now.
There somewhere.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes. Accidental racism.
Outrageous.
That's
Dan.
not for me.
That's for him.
5-minute major, not listening to that episode.
See you later, Damashek.
Go on, get now.
I once had bland carnitas at Will Cain's house.
Put it on the poll.
Shocking.
At Le Batard Show.
He's a good man.
Are you surprised that
A patriot.
the carnitas are bland at Will Cain's house? At Le Batard Show is the place that you reach us. I'm sorry, Baby Billy, you're out of here. Matthew Berry will be here shortly. I think we're going to yell at him some about the performances of Justin Herbert and Ashton Jensen.
He might be
last
hiding because he
weekend.
hasn't shown up yet this week.
Yeah, we will find him in moments. But before we do that, I just want to check in at the end of our week here with Calgary goalie Devin Cooley, because he was asked, and I think this is the good perspective to have. We talk about do-or-die games. We talk about must-win games. Goalie seems like a hard job. I think they're crazy because it's a hard job. I think all of them are crazy. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Are all hockey goalies crazy? But I love Devin Cooley's attitude when it comes to how do you stay calm back there when everyone's pelting your face with 105-mile-an-hour slap shots?
You really have to ground yourself. So I just I think I've said this before, but I just go nothing matters, nobody cares, we're all gonna die. And I just say that over and over and over again. So that way, I don't get too excited, because as soon as I start getting too excited, I'm like, oh, this could be it. This could be the win. We're playing really well. I'll start doing stupid stuff, and then I'll give up dumb goals because I'm being stupid. And so if I just keep repeating those words over and over again, it just grounds me, and I can just really just stay in the moment and not get too excited.
Nothing matters. We're all going to die.
Can confirm. He said that before.
Can you get for me the We're All Gonna Die song? Because he makes it feel happier and less pressurized than it actually is. But it works as a mantra if you're nervous and you just want to do something that feels like transcendental meditation, where you just get a key phrase or mantra to repeat over and over again.
Die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. There's a hurricane in my earthquake, and we're all wondering why. Let's turn on the news and find out how we're gonna die.
The Texans defense is allowing fewer points than the Legion of Boom defense was allowing. The standard in our lifetime is the Ravens defense of Ray Lewis that didn't require any scoring from their offense and won the Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer. But this Texans defense sacking Josh Allen 8 times is an insanity. You can't sack that guy 8 times. That guy will move away and move around sacks even if nobody's blocking for him. To see the Bills grounded that way yesterday, 8 sacks and 3 turnovers is the reason they lost that game.
Per OptaStats, the Texans are the first team to have 2 players with 2+ sacks against the reigning MVP and another with 2+ interceptions against him in the same game. For Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, and Kalen Bullock. And then Josh Allen is also the first quarterback to account for 6 TDs, passing or scoring, in one start, and then account for 0 in his next since Tommy Kramer in 1986. Crazy.
A lot of you may think I'm a Miami Hurricane homer right now. Rest assured, in the mid-teens, it was way worse. I went into that Alabama game thinking Miami had a chance. I go to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium field, and I see De'Aaron King warming up, and I'm like, all right, season of expectation. Here we go. And I see Will Anderson stretching out in front of him, and I knew I was a fucking moron.
The things that Nick Saban did at Alabama will be hard for anybody else to recreate, even as Georgia tries, even as Clemson has tried. What they did there in dominating the sport and how he got out at exactly the right time as everything became just exactly the right time as everything around him became more and more just and equitable. It was an insanity to watch. I'm not totally sure that we appreciated it quite enough. The funniest thing,
Manny Diaz was telling people before that game, every empire must fall.
I mean, Lane Kiffin telling us just flatly that every time when he was at Alabama, they walked on the field and they looked at their sideline and they looked at the other sideline, and him and Saban knew that they always had the better players. Makes me circle back around here to the Lane Kiffin conversation. Mike, things have escalated this morning. You are doing some reporting that no one else is doing. I don't know how you feel about Ariel Helwani questioning your credentials to your face by saying, how does he know this? Who are your sources? Why is it that he's reporting this and I'm not hearing this anywhere else? You were interested in this last night, saying that it was beginning to go crazy.
I was texting you privately.
But this morning, but what were you hearing last night versus where it's escalated to this morning, where Mississippi is so fed up with this? Go ahead, Mississippi. I dare you. Go ahead and fire him. I dare you to fire him, Mississippi. See how that goes for you.
I love Lane Kiffin. He is my favorite personality in college football. He is consistent, man. He doesn't give an F. He doesn't. Like, Lane's got to do what's right for Lane right now, and I think over the course of 20 years since the last time he did this, he's kind of earned that. I think in the heart of hearts of Ole Miss supporters, they'd admit to that. But this is really, really funny what's going on, because Florida for 2 weeks has been back-channeling for longer than that. This honestly dates back a year with Lane Kiffin, this pursuit, really. And Florida has felt really confident this entire time. They're starting to get nervous. Last night they had a deadline for Lane Kiffin, and there was no way in hell Lane Kiffin was going to adhere to that deadline. Now, as I've said earlier, I do think we're reaching critical mass here. I don't understand how Ole Miss is on a bye, and they're aided by that, but they are furious, and I understand where they're coming from right now. This is as fascinating as this can get. I don't see how this story evolves. Lane has everything that he wants right now. The number, he's going to be the highest paid coach in the sport. He's going to have a record-setting NIL package. He's going to get to do whatever he wants with his staff. This is up to Lane and his family, and do not gloss over the family aspect of this.
No, I would say the fact that his family was being sent out to these places on reconnaissance missions as advanced scouts, and it was being reported that his family was in places. I would say that the only thing that matters here, because the jobs are going to end up being similar, and he can ask for whatever he wants. He can pit them against each other. He can keep asking for things. But I would assume that the deciding factor will end up being, where does your family want to be? Because Dad's not going to be home a whole lot. Like, if you better be in a city. Dad took this job and took everyone to Mississippi, a place that the family doesn't want to be, because we've been all about Dad for a really long time. Now the family gets to cash in on whatever it wants, because the jobs are going to end up being very similar, and they're going to be a bounty of riches unlike anything that Lane Kiffin has ever had available to him before.
You mentioned the daughter dating the star linebacker over there. I mentioned Lane's son is favoring LSU, and that's what's complicated this whole thing. From a family standpoint, that might be the better play. We know Lane Kiffin loves Florida ever since he left Boca. He's been trying to get back. He was on our show like the water's brown over here. We knew this day would come. I didn't think it would come at the point where some of the greatest jobs are all open simultaneously. I know he's been going down this road with Florida for such a long time, and this felt like it was a near certainty. But that LSU job, Dan, I think is better, and not by a little. And if Lane wants to get to where he wants to get to, which is also not recruiting a hell of a lot, that's a huge part of this, and both schools will acknowledge that. I think LSU is a play here, and then it would be fascinating to see what happens with Florida if they get spurned here, because there's some crazy names there that I'm not ready to report, but Florida will be desperate.
I'm willing to say not absolutely, but pretty close to absolutely, that if Lane picks LSU, it's because of his family, and if he picks the state of Florida, it's because of himself. And so he will have to make a decision on what it is that his kids want versus what it is that he wants, because he can have success in either place. Circling back around, though, to what it is that happened last night in football. Here are the numbers of the Texans defense versus Josh Allen. 2 interceptions, 1 fumble forced and recovered, so that's 3 total takeaways. 8 sacks for 70 yards. That's the most for any QB since Zach Wilson in 2021. Zach Wilson incompetent. Zach Wilson famously incompetent, running around, holding the ball too long. So 8 sacks for 70 yards. That's the most by any quarterback. That's a guy that doesn't get sacked like that because he's so athletic. 11 QB hits, 12 QB pressures. The Bills were 0-2 in the red zone, and Josh Allen was pressured on 33% of his dropbacks.
This is the full Josh Allen experience from week to week, right? You have the week where he looks like just the best player on the planet, right? Where he's got 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 throwing touchdowns, and it's like, oh, this guy's kind of unstoppable. And then the next week he plays a defense that's actually really good, and then reverts back to like 2020 Josh Allen, where it's like, why is he doing this? He's throwing the ball behind his back kind of thing, where it's like, this is the full gambit of what's going on with Josh Allen. I thought this was fixed, Dan. I thought this was like, all right, he's past all those weird things he used to do, and it's like now he's trying to reverting back.
He won the MVP because he became more risk averse, and they coached the turnovers after him. This year, they've beaten the good quarterbacks. The Bills have beaten Mahomes. They've beaten Lamar Jackson.
Who have they lost to? That's
they've lost to Penix. They've lost to Davis Mills. They've lost to Tua.
That's weird.
They've beaten the good quarterbacks.
Slightly hurt that you didn't include Baker in the good quarterbacks.
Well, I was getting there. Yeah, he was the third of the good quarterbacks. The thing that's happening, though, and this one's funny to me, man. He's got more interceptions, Josh Allen does, in the last 6 quarters than Jalen Hurts has in 10 games.
But that's aggressiveness, right? That's you trying to go out there and make something happen out of nothing, where Jalen Hurts kind of has an idea of where he's going to go. He's going to throw to A.J. Brown a couple times, and that's kind of it, because their offenses run differently.
It's a funny thing to happen, though, where A.J. Brown with the Eagles is so frustrated that he's scoffing at questions. So they ask A.J. Brown, they're like, are you a lesser player? And his response is, I guess Saquon's a lesser player too, right? Like, that team is frustrated because they'd rather be playing like Josh Allen's team. If I gave A.J. Brown the option, hey, would you like to go 40-2 in the games where you beat teams because you have fewer turnovers than them? Or do you want to be 10 catches for 140 yards and you'll take 7 losses in there because whatever? It's a funny tension to have. They didn't evidently coach the risk out of Josh Allen. What they did was surround him with players who made all of it a little more stable so he can trust the offense and not feel constipated about how it is that he was playing football. But when Dalton Kincaid's out, your running back situation was good all year, but in these recent games that you've lost, you're not getting what you need from Cook. Like, I was confused by what happened with Cook against the Dolphins. And the last time they lost, it was the same thing where they're not getting anything from Cook. But last night, they ran the ball. Last night, Shakir wasn't one catch for 9 yards. They were throwing the ball to Shakir. So last night, you got beat because your quarterback got sacked 8 times because Shakir fumbled and because your quarterback threw 2 interceptions.
But also, you're throwing to Khalil Shakir. Right, like that's your first round pick. Keon Coleman is the second time for a healthy scratch, and you got a guy named Shavers out there running routes. It's like, who the hell is this guy?
Well, he caught the first touchdown.
Yeah, but he sucks. Watch that guy all year. I know he caught that touchdown. He sucks.
No, that's true. He makes good punts.
Okay, wait a minute.
He sucks.
His name is Shavers. Damn, where'd this guy come from?
Look, you say he sucks, but I saw Gabe Davis suck.
The ghost.
He sucks.
That's my God.
The ghost of Gabe.
sucks.
I know.
Shakir's good.
Shakir's
Everyone
good.
else
That's
sucks.
national champion Gabe
Everyone-
Davis, Dan.
Everyone sucks.
Put some respect on his name.
His name is Shavers.